are glad to have you here, but we're here to hear the candidates answer questions and do a presentation. I do want to thank our co-sponsors. Gotta look at my cheat sheet here. Our co-sponsors, the Bergen County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, the YMCA of Northern New Jersey, and the Jewish Community Relations Council of the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey for spreading the news about this important forum. And I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening. Nikki Bach is a trained League of Women Voters moderator. She does not live in Bergen County, so she can't vote for or against either of these candidates here. So I will turn it over to Nikki, and please, if you would hold your applause until the very end of the evening so we have more time to devote to questions. And if you would like to write a question to pose to the candidates, it's got to be written on a card. Raise your hand and some of our helpers will come by and give you a note card and a writing implement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. I don't know if I'm going to be using this mic the whole evening, but I'm sure using it now you'll be able to hear me, and if not, you'll let me know, because we are leaving the mics for the candidates, and it might be easier than moving them back and forth. I am pleased to moderate tonight's debate. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, yet political organization. It never supports or opposes political parties or candidates. With over 100 years of experience, we are one of America's oldest and trusted civic nonprofits that works to empower voters and defend democracy. The forum tonight is devoted to hearing the views of these two candidates, Anthony Curtin and Robert Kugler, one a Democrat, another the Republican, and you, the voters, will only get to choose one, no matter how great they answer you tonight. The format was set with the candidates, and in addition, and we have questions that league members came up with. We have questions sent to us to our league email address, and as Barbara indicated, questions that you give us tonight on cards. Please, the questions that you give us tonight could be addressed to a particular candidate, but both candidates will have an opportunity to respond. After a candidate responds, there will be no discussion from the floor, and we do, as Barbara said, ask you to hold your applause until the end in interest of moving this forward. Audience questions and candidate remarks must follow league policy of being concerned with issues, not personalities. No abusive, personalized, or irrelevant questions will be allowed. Questions should relate to Bergen County topics. Answers will be timed by our timekeeper for 1.5 minutes, and with 30 seconds, please hold the 30 seconds remaining, so that the audience sees it. Okay, and then red to stop at the full 1.5 minutes. And answers will be rotated between you, both. The opening, each candidate will make a 1-minute opening and close with a 2-minute close. We ask that you check that any electronic device has been turned off. And we say that neither the candidates, nor their supporters, nor anyone in the audience, other than the league designee, may record this event or use the recording that we'll have afterwards in any edited form. It has to be, and when we share the link, and you'll all will have access to that link, it will be on the Bergen County website, but no recording in between. Okay, so now we will open with Mr. Curtin giving your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? Good. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and thank everyone for being in attendance. In 2018, after a very turbulent period for the Sheriff's Office, you elected me to restore the confidence of the Office of Sheriff. I was keenly aware of the enormous responsibilities the people of Bergen County had entrusted me with. 6 years later, the Bergen County Sheriff's Office made major strides and became one of the leading agencies in the state of New Jersey. My administration has top law enforcement professionals with experience, leadership, and diversity. The administrative team is historic and represents the diversity of Bergen County. Together, we work together to tackling our most important issues. We expanded our community policing program. Community and law enforcement work closer together. We've had shared service agreements with Passaic County, where we have a revenue of $21 million coming into the county of Bergen. And we respond to all threats to houses of worship and ensure, regardless of religion, that you can peacefully pray without fear.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. And first of all, thank you very much for the Bergen County League of Women Voters and our other sponsors. And by the looks of the people in the room, thank you for your interest tonight. My name is Robert Kugler, and I'm a former police chief in the town of Saddlebrook. I've been a law enforcement officer for 40 years, and I've been the police chief in Saddlebrook for 30 of those 40 years. I've been the former president of both the Bergen County and the New Jersey State Police Chiefs Association. I have a long record in service of public government and public service. I want to be your sheriff because we are at a pivotal time, not only in this county, but in our country. I'm staying in my lane as the county candidate for sheriff, but I know that my leadership ability, my passion to serve others, my passion to be a public servant is what Bergen County needs right now. I want to put law enforcement, law and order back into that office, and that's all I want to be, is the sheriff. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Curtin, first question. In your view, and again, tell me if you can hear, I did voice. In your view, what are the two biggest issues facing the sheriff's office at this time? And how do you propose to deal with them? A minute and a half.
Staffing is the biggest issue facing the sheriff's office. Historically, or if you look within the past couple of years, the sheriff's office historically has interviewed numerous candidates. Now, when we talk about staffing, the law enforcement community nationally, there is not a lot of officers who are pursuing the position. For the Bergen County Sheriff's Office, we are very stringent in terms of our background checks and our hiring process. Therefore, that even limits the number of persons we're permitted to bring in, or we're allowed to go in. We continue to maintain high standards, and again, that's one of the challenges. We've employed the most qualified qualified individual to serve in this agency. But our greatest priority is protecting the public and remaining fiscally sound while doing it. I'm happy to work with our officers every day in taking on opioid crisis, common car thefts, and community policing. An issue we are facing finding officers to meet these high standards. While this is a challenge, this is not specific to the BCO. This is happening nationally with high-performing agencies. So staffing is an issue. We have increased the staffing here in our jail after the recent agreement, which gives us $21 million in revenue for about 100 officers. We just swore in 26 officers to address it. So that is one of the challenges we're dealing with right now. And again, it's not systemic to Bergen County. It's a national epidemic, if you want to use that term.
Thank you. Mr. Kugler.
Thank you very much. So, what I believe to be at least two of the main concerns that when I'm elected sheriff I want to combat right away, and that is the increased patrol of the Bergen County Sheriff's Department throughout every community in Bergen County. As you all should remember, some time ago when the Bergen County Police Department was consolidated or merged into the Bergen County Sheriff's Department, there was some 90 some odd police officers. The Bergen County Police had a lot of roles in our county. One of the main roles was patrol county roadways, county parks, assist the different municipalities, and I think we lack there. And my number one goal is to increase that, because as a police chief in the town of my local town, Saddlebrook, being a police chief for 30 years, I know what community public safety needs, and that is a police officer, sheriff's officer, visible, driving around your communities, making sure they can respond to incidents, helping various police departments across this county. So that's one thing that I will improve in. The second thing I know exists is a lack of manpower and really a lack of retaining high qualified personnel. The jail has some issues in there about personnel, how they're working too many hours, not enough police officers inside that jail, and I'm going to correct that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question is for you, Mr. Gugler, and that is, what do you believe are the most important qualities a sheriff should have, and how do you embody those qualities?
The most important quality, first of all, is to be qualified to be in that position. You need to be qualified to get to the starting gate. It's up to the citizens of this county to vote for the person they would want to be their sheriff. I feel I am qualified, but that's not it. That just gets me to the starting line. That gets me into the game. You want a person who has the ability to lead the men and women, the largest police agency of our county, over 500 men and women. They need to be led by a leader, someone who believes in them, someone who makes sure that we can make sure public safety is the #1 priority. Like I said in my opening statement, we are at a pivotal moment. You want a career, professional, law enforcement leader to be the next sheriff in this county, and I am that person. I have a passion to serve the general public. I am committed to your safety. I am committed to making sure that every community from Allendale to Wyckoff, all the 70 municipalities of this county can count on the Bergen County Sheriff's Department to be a true support for their law enforcement efforts. I will meet each and every police department head, each and every mayor and council of each and every town in this county, and make sure that I stand by that statement. That is my mission.
Thank you. Mr. Kirk.
You repeat the question?
Yes. What do you believe are the most important qualities a sheriff should have, and how do you embody those qualities?
The most important quality, one is the ability to do the whole community policing. And I say that because there are 70 towns or 68 municipalities, and you have to establish a relationship with everybody in those particular counties. My important quality that I bring, one, is 6 years of serving in this capacity and being very part of the crime reduction in the county of Bergen. As many of you have heard, we're ranked 9th in the nation as the safest community out of over 3,000 counties. And I think that speaks volumes to what the Bergen County Sheriff's Office is doing along with local municipalities. Qualification, I have 35 years of law enforcement. In that 35 years of law enforcement, I've served as 25 years as a police officer in Inglewood. I've been an adjunct professor dealing with criminal justice and social issues. I've worked in the jail as an inmate advocate office, also worked in the law library, and I attended the FBI Academy in Quantico about jail administration. So I think I bring you a well-rounded individual who can continue to serve in this capacity as sheriff.
Thank you. We'll take the next question. You may have referred to it already. Can you please tell us about Bergen County's crime trends and how you plan to address them? And the crimes I think we have in mind are gun violence, domestic violence, drug-related offenses, and burglaries.
As the sheriff's officer, we're force multipliers, but we do encounter these situations like domestic violence. Our officers do handle them as indicated by the Attorney General guidelines. Car thefts, we're part of federal, state, and of course county agencies, and part of the car theft ring that's going on in the state of New Jersey. If you look last year in comparison to this year, there's been a reduction in the number of cars stolen in Bergen County. Again, in part to the proactive patrolling of our sheriff's officers, who are on the road more active than they have been in years past. And that has changed since I've been the sheriff in this county of Bergen. We've changed our hours where now officers work 11 hours a shift, allowing us to have more officers present patrolling the county of Bergen.
Thank you. Mr. Kugel, will you repeat it?
Please, yeah.
Can you please tell us about what you know of Bergen County's crime trends and how you plan to address them in the areas of gun violence, domestic violence, drug-related offenses, and burglaries?
Can you use the mic? Repeat it again with the mic.
Sure.
Here you go.
Oh, all right. Can you please tell us about Bergen County's crime trends and how you plan to address them? And these crimes are gun violence, domestic violence, drug-related offenses, and burglaries.
So the most basic premise of any community and mindset of any community member is your public safety in your community. Bergen County, like any other county, has crime. Every town in this county has crime, some worse than others. As a local police chief, I know what crime was in Saddlebrook. There's crime in Saddle River. There's crime in the city of Englewood. It's all over. We, thank God, our local police departments serve you each and every day. That's your basic public safety officials to do what needs to be done. The Sheriff's Department, the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, and other agencies that would assist with serious crime come in and support that. As the largest agency in Bergen County, the Bergen County Sheriff's Office should be proactive in saturation patrols throughout the county, making sure that we support local law enforcement in their efforts to investigate certain crimes, create task forces. The four major crimes that she mentioned, gun safety, domestic violence, car burglaries, these are important topics to each and every member, because if we're not safe in our homes and our properties, we're not safe anywhere. And as the Bergen County Sheriff, we're going to put law enforcement back into that mission. And when you hear the word sheriff, here comes the sheriff, here comes a sheriff's officers, we're going to talk about preventing crime, investigating crime, and being proactive to put criminals in jail.
Okay, thank you.
I got
And you got,
I shut those.
you get the next one. And I think you even intimated some of this in your answer. How would you like to see the sheriff's office offer support for or integration with local police departments?
This question is very easy for me because I've been a past president of the Bergen County Police Chiefs. I've been a police chief for 30 years. I practically know every police chief in this county. Many are retired that I became a police chief with many years ago, obviously. We have monthly meetings, the Bergen County Police Chiefs. We meet monthly. There should be a network between every municipal police chief and the Bergen County Sheriff or his designated person who attends those meetings, whether it be the chief of the department or under sheriffs. There's up to four under sheriffs. They should be assigned to come to those meetings. They should be assigned to network with each and every police chief. That's a little bit absent, I know it is. And as sheriff, we're gonna get together with each and every municipality, each and every police chief and say, how can we help you? What do we need to do better? How can we provide you with the support that you need? That is so important. As a police chief, I know, and you know, in your community, your main protection is your local police department, and as the sheriff, with their over 500 and some odd professional men and women at our agency, we're going to support each and every municipality's police department. That's going to be one of my first goals, is to get to those police chiefs and say, how can we help you? And if we need more manpower assigned to that function to help and patrol your communities, we're going to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Bergen.
Mr. Kuglin's correct in that regards as far as having relationships with the police chiefs in Bergen County. The sheriff's office currently do have relationships with the other chiefs, and that's proven by the resources we provide to them at a moment's request. Now, I don't care what the request is, even if it causes me to have minimal manpower on the road, we make sure the municipality get theirs first. And that's saving to a local municipality because of shared services. And I think overall, the taxpayer is concerned with saving money. So if I can offset saving money for a local municipality by making my personnel available to go assist in these various local departments, I think I've accomplished so much, or the sheriff's office has accomplished plenty. And I'm prideful for that great relationship we have. I do have a chief. He's part of the Chiefs Association who attends all the meetings and report information back to me. If I don't go attend myself, along with the prosecutor's office, who are ex officios of the Bergen County Chiefs Association, where we can go there and be part of these meetings. But the only success we can have as a sheriff and as a local chief is that relationship. And again, we have a proven relationship. Again, we have the rapid deployment force, which encompasses all the chiefs in Bergen County. We have to work together. We have our CERT team, where if there's an issue within our correctional facility, we have that available to be dispatched to local municipalities, where they've also taught the local municipality officers how to do cell distraction and so forth. So we do have a bonding relationship with them.
Okay, thank you, Andre. Okay, next question is for you. Can you tell us what proportion of your job is spent on law enforcement, such as patrol and protection of county roads, parks, and critical infrastructure, and assisting law enforcement, compared to the sheriff's office of its judicial role in the serving of writs, court orders, foreclosures, and court protection? Is this division satisfactory and appropriate in your opinion?
The way all the work is delineated in the agency, I think we cover it in all respects. We have several different bureaus. So the patrol aspect handles itself, the court security handles itself, serving of writs, we have what they call the SSU unit with the special service unit. So an agency this large, sheriff's officers, almost 250 officers, we're able to accommodate every facet, every expectations within the agency.
Thank you. Mr. Klugler, though you are not in office, if elected, based on your understanding of the functions of this office to include law enforcement and its role in the courts, would you expect to change or adjust priorities?
Yes, my number one priority, and it's my goal to be your sheriff with that number one priority, and that is the common protection and public safety of each and every community, each and every family, each and every person in this county. That's number one. You know what, the sheriff role is huge. The sheriff's department's obligation, responsibility to each and every citizen is huge. This isn't a little league game. This is a big deal, and I take it as a big deal. And I bring into my role as the sheriff the number one priority, and that is the protection of each and every one of you, your public safety, because that's what we need to put back in the office of the sheriff, public safety. There are large roles in addition to that, whether it be civil processes, protection of the court, running of the jail. There are so many roles, but we have men and women, professional men and women in that department that run that department very smoothly. They need a leader who's going to stand behind their back. They need a leader who's going to go out in the communities and let the community know what they do. And if we need more tools, if we need more resources, if we need more things from our government, I'm going to be the person to be there. The role of the sheriff is so important, and I take it very, very personal and very, very passionately. And I'm going to be the next sheriff, and I guarantee you I'm going to be the best sheriff Bergen County ever was. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder for the audience, if you do have questions, we do have league members that can give you a card. Please put your hand up, and there's one already in the back. Okay, Mr. Klugler, this next one is for you. How will you ensure accountability and transparency within the Bergen County Sheriff's Office?
I'm all about transparency. I'm all about accountability. There is no doubt that you're going to know exactly what the sheriff does and what the sheriff's offices are supposed to do. Because in my campaigning, not only now, but in 3 years ago when I ran for this office, there were many blank stare faces when I said, do you know who the sheriff is? Do you know what the sheriff does? Have you ever seen a sheriff's officer on your county park or in your county roadway? Some blank stares. When I become your sheriff, you're going to know that, because I'm going to be in your town, I'm going to be at your community meetings, I'm going to be at your community events, I'm going to meet with your police chiefs and your police departments. You're going to know. And in 3 years, when I ask for you to re-elect me, you're going to know who the sheriff is. You're going to say it's a man called Robert Kugler, and he was a longtime police chief, and he came to be the sheriff, and he gives a damn about the community, and he gives a damn about public safety. And that's the number one priority, your protection. I'm not here for ego, I'm not here for money, I'm not here for politics. I'm here to protect each and every one of you. And if you don't want to vote for me because you think that's the wrong reason to get into this job, then you know what, you're voting for the wrong person. You want to vote for your safety, you want to vote for your public safety, you vote for me. Thank you.
When we talk about the sheriff's office, we talk about accountability. We talk about ensuring training. Well, I'm proud to say with the sheriff's office, as far as serving and protecting the county of Bergen, again, we have proven that. Bergen, 9th in the nation, as far as one of the safest counties. But let's go back to the word accountability. If you look at a prosecutor's report from some years ago, it said, former Chief Kugler was often absent from the police department. So if you're absent from the police department, how can you very well be out there in the community serving other chiefs if you can't take care of your own? As far as training and the proper equipment, officers were given expired body armor, pepper spray, and communicating over antiquated radio system. Not a single police officer was certified in CPR, and the department's accreditation under former Chief Kugler lost its accreditation, under former Chief Kugler. Sheriff's officers, yes, nearly 600 officers in that agency. Saddlebrook Police Department, I believe, is over 30 officers. So to have those beliefs that you can implement some of these things and you can't do it in a department that's over 30, I question the ability to handle a department over 500, nearly 600 officers. That's the accountability. Now, on top of all that, the sheriff's office in its current state is visual, do have relationships with all the county chiefs. As far as visibility, I am one of the most active sheriffs out there in each community, dealing with every portion of the community.
Okay, thank you. For you, Mr. Bergen, what is your general opinion and or experience regarding cooperation between the county and local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities such as ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement?
Can we try that again?
Yeah. What is your general opinion and or experience regarding cooperation between the sheriff's office and local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities such as ICE?
Again, the sheriff's office and local police departments, we have a great relationship. Whatever resources they ask for, they get. During the past year, as far as October 7th, we know we happened on a national platform with the Middle East. We provided not only extra services, we've allowed other agencies to take advantage and park our police cars or our sheriff's officer vehicles on various houses of worship. You can't have that relationship unless you have that type of discussion with the chief, and the chief is willing to open this municipality and allow us to come in there. When we talk about immigration, the sheriff's office does not enforce immigration law. But if you commit a crime, we will lock you up and put you in jail. I think that's what we want. Then once we put you in jail, it's up to the federal officials to do what they have. We don't get in the way of the federal officials doing what they have to do. But we do, if you commit a crime in Bergen County, you will go to jail.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hugel.
So I already spoke about, but I'll highlight the fact that cooperation, mutual cooperation, respect with local law enforcement agencies throughout the county, with the sheriff, with the prosecutor, is a very important nexus. If that doesn't happen, if that's in disarray, if that's deficient, your public safety is deficient. We're going to correct that. I told you, as a police chief, I know how important it is the local police department is to your public safety, to patrol, to assist you in your public safety. The sheriff's department will undoubtedly improve, be more efficient in working and networking with local law enforcement to provide that public safety. With regard to immigration, some time ago, as you read, as you may know or not know, there was a contract to house detainees in the Bergen County Jail. The courts want a law enforcement correctional facility to house these people until the justification is to warrant their return or their release. There was no problem with that being in Bergen County Jail because our Bergen County Jail is a nice jail, and it is a jail. I know we want to call it a rehabilitation center, but it's a jail. It's a place where people do not want to go. You're not supposed to go. It's a jail. And the priorities to do something like renaming it the Rehabilitation Center is skewed. So you can tell the priorities of the current administration is not in line with my priority, and that is the public safety and putting people in jail that deserve to be there, and maybe as a deterrent, don't want to go there because it's called a jail.
Thank you. So this is to you, Mr. Bugler. Are there programs in the sheriff's office that you would prioritize, expand, or introduce, such as community policing, mental health crisis intervention, or rehabilitation for offenders? I know those are three big areas. You might want to choose only one of them. You got them all? They're okay.
They're all good. They're all good. There is no doubt that we would like to rehabilitate people who commit crime. And the jail facility does that. Believe me, they don't want to go back there. They don't want a pickleball court outside. They don't want to have all the luxuries that they shouldn't have. They don't want to be in there. It's a deterrent to get them out of there. Drug education and prevention, community policing programs is so important. My claim to fame over my 30 years of being a police chief is because I've been a fabric of the community. Community programs, I am Mr. Community Policer, there is no doubt about it. People that know me know that Bob Cougar engages with the community and cares about each and every one. And I have many programs that we implemented in Saddlebrook that we will expand and implement now as a county. Because there is no doubt the community outreach unit in the Bergen County Sheriff's Department will expand, and we will come to your community, we will come to your community groups, and we will ask for whatever your needs are, and we will help you, and we will engage and network with the local police department. Community programs, community outreach is so important. That's what the Sheriff's Department should provide to municipalities, and as your sheriff, it is going to be known as not only the best Sheriff's Department there ever was, but one of the better ones with regard to community outreach, because we're coming to your community, you watch.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Curtin, you need it repeated?
Yeah, I'll take it.
You'll okay. Are there programs in the sheriff's office you would prioritize, expand, or introduce, such as community policing, mental health crisis intervention, or rehabilitation for offenders?
I'll prioritize by mental health. I think we know in the nation platform, mental health is one of the biggest issues we have to face. Now, when we talk about mental health, let's go into my rehabilitation, or your rehabilitation center. Currently, since my administration, we've had the highest number of mental health counselors. We had the highest number of reentry coordinators. Now, to explain how that worked with reentry, mental health is 85% of our jail. So you gotta have the qualified personnel to address that, to avert any other type of issues, especially when returning back to the community. Rehabilitation, that's our job. The corrections division is a transient location. They don't stay there for the long haul. Those who've been charged with a serious crime, they go through the judicial process. If they found guilty, they go to the state. But what about the folks who may have a domestic violence, drinking while driving, a minor offense that they may not have any options as far as getting a job, but we're providing options. I don't find it to be a crime to help somebody get their GED and hopefully go on to get their associate's degree by way of the county of Bergen. I don't have a problem with them getting a culinary certificate where they can go out there and get a job. The more people we help to get employed, the safer our county would be. Community policing, go to the record, go to social media. You can go to any chief in this county and they'll tell you we have a robust community policing unit. We have programs such as Safe Space. Safe Space deal with LGBTQ, anti-hate, anti-bullying.
Okay, Mr.
That's the relationship, huh?
You'll finish your sentence.
That's the relationship we established with our community, with our local police department, with our local schools, to ensure we have a safe community for all.
And of course, for your 2-minute close, you can pick up things you couldn't get to in your answers. Okay, next question is for you. How would you ensure the sheriff's office builds and maintains positive relationships with the county's diverse communities? And how will you ensure diversity within the sheriff's office?
Well, to address the diverse communities, you have to have a body of officers who is commensurate to what the county is. If you break it down, if you look at currently the staffing in the sheriff's office, I think we cross all bases. We have Asian American officers, we have Muslims officers, African American, Latino, Caucasian. We crossed every barrier of it. Now, when we take that out to the community, socialization is kind of easy because they got people you're in common with, and there's a full understanding with that. So, what's the second part? I'm sorry.
The second part, well, that's diversity within and
Now,
out.
diversity, you look at my command staff, is representative of the county of Bergen. But here go the key, I got 3 of the highest qualified individuals you can get. When I say highly qualified, I have an undersheriff who was in charge of internal affairs from the county prosecutor's office. I have another undersheriff who's also Korean, but he has a Korean community outreach, but he's also an attorney. So we've covered all bases between the officers to the command staff leadership to make sure there's representation to address our county of Bergen, which is nearly 1 million people of diverse individuals.
Thank you. You repeated, you're okay.
When I become your sheriff in a few short days from now, and when I take office in January, we're gonna take a hard look at the rank and file, the men and women of that department. Because right now, I don't know. I don't know how many Korean officers, I don't know how many Hispanic officers, I don't know how many bilingual officers are there, but we're gonna take a look at that, and that's important to me. If there's not enough, let me just specifically iron in here, the Korean community. Bergen County has a large Korean community. If there's not enough Korean officers in that department, we're gonna ask some questions, why weren't there? Because there is a civil service list, and that list should be chosen according to qualifications and passing a test. But it's also, you can take a Spanish-speaking officer, you can take a Korean-speaking officer, you can specifically look at the list, and someone who's on that list, take that person. Maybe there's not enough African Americans, I don't know. But I know this county is well diverse, and I am as diverse as anybody else in this room. This isn't about white, this isn't about black, this isn't about religion. This is about making sure that Bergen County is served with each and every one of those cultural different people. As police chief, I traveled to 13 different countries. 13 different countries, and I learned the culture of the 13 countries because here in Bergen County, the Chinese people, the Korean people, the African American people, the different people of different countries would like to see that you're well versed and you care about their culture, you care about their people, and you make sure that people in that community are deserve to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question's for you. Can you explain the staff shortage at the Bergen County Jail? Realizing you're not the current incumbent, but the staff shortage. Staff shortage. And is there do you think there's a staff morale and retention problem because of this issue?
Yes.
Got it.
I do. I haven't did an open report. We're gonna see the numbers when we get in there. But there's 2 sides to the Bergen County Sheriff's Office. There's correctional side and there's the Sheriff's Officer side. And the correctional officer side are the ones that are basically securing the jail, the inmates, the transportation of them, etc. There are officers that have complained that they can't go home. They are mandatory to stay. Now listen, when I was a young person, I loved overtime. It was like heroin to a heroin addict. I loved it. Give me more, give me more. And you know what? There's some officers that earn over $200,000 just in overtime. I know it's there. I know it's there. Now I'm not going to bring it up and utilize it, a brochure against what's going on there. But you know what? What's going on? Why is there a shortage? Why aren't we hiring officers? Why are we mandatorily telling people you can't go home, you have to do a double tour? It's a problem. Some of the officers are not going to come out and say it publicly, but I've talked to some of them. I know the facts. There's a shortage, I don't know why. I don't know if it's a lack of hiring, or they don't want to hire, or the budget issues, I don't know, I'm not there yet. But when I get there, we're going to straighten it out. We're going to make sure that the safety of the men and the women in that correctional facility is a priority. And if they're working too many hours and they're taken away from their family where they should be, we need to hire more. And we're going to certainly look into that, and we're certainly going to correct it.
Thank you. Mr. Curtin?
Yes. As we started out, we talked about staffing In a brief discussion, in 2021, after the ICE contract was, we ended the ICE contract, we had 234 inmates in the facilities. We went out and got this new agreement with Passaic County, which we brought in 600 more inmates. Now you bring in 600 more inmates based on the staffing that we were allotted at the time of 281 full-time employees. We added 50 from Passaic County. Then as time went on, I added 40 officers in the past 2 years who went to the academy. In the interim, we also hired, intergovernmental transfers. So the numbers is running constant at about 212, 215, where our overall number is 331 full-time employees we're scheduled to have. But you have to remember, everything is attrition. People are retiring right now. So when you have people retiring, you got to backfill. If you heard what I said earlier, we hire the most qualified individual. We just don't take a dotted line just to take somebody just to fill a void. The officers, we have spoken about the situation, the PBA, we have spoken about the hiring, and that number is growing. Bear in mind, there's other restraints in there, but we are, again, I swore in 26 individuals this morning at 11 o'clock. So we're meeting the mark as far as elevating the personnel to be available. Now, if you want to switch it to the sheriff's office side, we know about COVID. During the COVID time, everybody had reduction in force. But we've hired and continue to maintain hiring off a bill, I wish I can talk about it.
Finish that sentence.
Okay. Off a diversity bill that was signed into law back in 22-23 that afforded you the opportunity to bring diversity on the hiring without the civil service exam. So we are fulfilling that hiring.
Okay, thank you. Another opportunity
I turned it off.
to pick that up in your clothes. Okay, next question is for you. Anti-Semitism has been on the rise in the United States. Being that there is a very large Jewish population in Bergen County, what would each candidate do to help protect the community from threats and attacks?
We do have a high Jewish population. I believe we have over 27 synagogues in the county. We do provide extra attention not only to the synagogues, but all houses of worship. The officers do regular checks. Those who are part of synagogues or any house of worship, you'll see we have a door hanger where they go by that location and hang it on the door to show that particular religious entity that the sheriff's office came by, checked, and made sure everything was safe at that location. What was the part two of that one?
What would you do to protect the community from threats and attacks?
What we've done, the other side, we have what we call the Sheriff Act. Now, the Sheriff's Act, you download it. We will notify anybody, Jewish, I don't care which religion it is, straight, civilian, citizen, where you download the app, anything that we need to get out, we'll put it in, it'll go out with an instant notification like you get any other notification on your cell phone. So these are some of the things we put in place to make sure our community is well informed, and it's real time for the most part to let you know what's going on, to again provide that safety and protection and put you ahead of the curve and let you know what we're doing and what we're implementing to make sure that you're aware of these various issues.
Thank you. Mr. Goodwood.
So anti-Semitism on the rise, vice incidents are on the rise, and I take that very seriously. I don't care if it's Asian hate, I don't care if it's anti-Semitism. We need to have the different classes of people from different backgrounds and culture to understand that we take that very serious here, not only in Bergen County, but across our state. We are required bias training of our officers. We have strict laws in place, and we need to make sure that we proactively utilize the laws and charge people accordingly. Investigate those types of matters, just like there's bullying in schools, required investigations, law enforcement investigations. There's many mosques, temples, synagogues in our county, and they have their own private security. Sometimes there's security of the various law enforcement agencies across the county. Sometimes sheriff's officers are there, prosecutor's office, detectives. We're going to make sure that we take that very seriously, because anybody who makes fun of anybody needs to be addressed right away. And they need to be addressed in school, because if you don't address it in school, they grow up to be big biased people, and then you've got bigger problems. And we're going to make sure that there's any types of bias. I don't care if it's against the Jewish people, the black people, the Korean people, the Asian people. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you enforce the rules accordingly. And as your sheriff, your number one priority is your public safety, and so is mine.
Okay, thank you. What are your thoughts on, this is to you, what are your thoughts on licensing and decertification requirements of law enforcement officers? That is, do you think there should be a law to license and decertify?
So licensing of police officers is very new to New Jersey. Across the United States, there are many police agencies in other states that have licenses. So, in other words, there's required training, there's required requirements that police officers now in New Jersey must have. This is the first year that the law was implemented. I think it's important because it holds people accountable. It holds people accountable for training, holds people accountable for learning about the different various protocols and processes and guidelines, because it better enables them to do their job. You know, being a law enforcement officer today is very difficult, very difficult. There's a lot of different things going on in the world. There's cameras, there's rules and regulations in place. And having a professional law enforcement agency that knows the guidelines and is properly trained is a great priority. And as sheriff, I know, and like a police chief, I know it's so important to have your men and women of your agency properly trained, because it's a reflection on the leadership of that agency. And the men and women of the Bergen County Sheriff's Office, like the men and women of the local police department, like my own and Southwood Police Department, are going to be properly trained, because there's nothing better than the service they have to do for each and every one of you and your families. And I promise that's gonna happen.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Curtin.
Reiterating what I said earlier about the personnel we hired and the requirement to be a sheriff's officer. Bergen County Sheriff's Office has some of the best training in the state. We're triple accredited. We just recently got our BCI unit that certified 100% compliance. We try to make the agency the most professional agency, and if the license is part of being an officer being professional, yes, I'm for licensing, and I think every officer himself should be for licensing. There's nothing to hide. You're doing your job, you're doing it correctly. To have a license professionalize the position even more. But when we again talk about training, if you can't have your officers certified in CPR, how can you begin to talk about training? The smallest minute thing in comparison, they're ensuring that licensing training, being in compliance with the Attorney General guideline, or just providing the necessary equipment for the officer to do his or her job. That's a major issue that has to be addressed, and you just can't come into an agency this large under the belief that you can run an agency like that. Again, we're the best trained sheriff's office in the state of New Jersey. You talk to the other sheriff in the state, they'll tell you just the same. Bergen is the elite, triple accreditation. Our medical unit, our mental health unit in the jail, accredited. The sheriff's office overall, accredited. The Bureau of Crime Scene Investigation, accredited. So I'm all for training, and I think we've proven that.
Thank you. Next question's for you. Next question's for you. What did you learn regarding keeping officers safe since COVID? Is there anything you would do differently to protect the health of officers during a medical pandemic?
Across the state, everybody was under the challenge of trying to obtain PPEs. We did everything we could to the best we could. We sent officers to Pennsylvania to try to get PPEs so they can have, a sense of security within the facilities. We implemented certain policies in place per the CDC as far as the 6-foot spacing. We've done that. And this can be researched, the Bergen County Sheriff's Office Corrections Division had the least amount of issues, no fatalities during COVID. We had the mumps, there were no fatalities, no serious injuries. The Sheriff's Office's personnel assigned to the correctional institution had no major health issues. So I think during that period of time, especially during the heightened time of COVID, we did quite well as kept our inmates safe. That's one of the biggest things, corrections, custody and care. and we maintain that, and I'm pretty sure if we did something wrong, you'd have read about it in the newspaper.
Yeah, same question, got it.
So listen, maybe some of us in the audience experienced this, but in March of 2020, as you know, COVID hit. Many of us experienced loss of lives. Saddlebrook, like many other communities across this county, across the state, across the United States, even internationally, suffered loss of life. Saddlebrook Police Department and the officers that serve our department were readily able, willing, and given the proper uniforms and equipment to deal with it. I was out there each and every day. Many of you may not know, but my family runs a funeral home. We buried some of the people. Matter of fact, the third death from COVID in New Jersey was from Saddlebrook. The danger was real. And I was right in the middle of it, right in the middle of that hornet's nest. I would not ask a police officer to do what I wouldn't do. I was manning masks, gloves. I was dealing with the information that needs to be done to get the information to our officers. We were concerned about their well-being. It took some time for us to get the inoculation. We had to wait till the following year. But that reality was real, and it caught our health department and our health officials off guard. But we worked together with the state officials, the county officials, and the local town officials to make sure that we do what we can for our local people. I cared about people dying. I cared about people having COVID. So did my officers. And that is something we're going to make sure that we know each and every officer that serves you is going to care just as much as I do. And we're going to make sure of that.
Okay, so to you, what is your opinion on the current bail system? Will you advocate to make it tougher?
So bail reform has been out for many years, and it annoys me, actually. It annoys me that we're not deterring criminals from doing criminal acts because they know it's a revolving door, it's catch and release. We need to change that system, and I'm not so sure we can change it on a county level. It needs to have good state leaders in place. And obviously the state leaders are a certain party, and we need to have both parties come to the aisle and get new laws passed to have bail reform done for the benefit of each and every citizen. And like I said before, if you do something wrong, you commit a crime, you need to go to jail. You need to go to a place that is very dangerous and you shouldn't want to be there. They're not even going there. They're being processed and let go, and they're committing war crimes, and it's just enabling. We're enabling the criminals to get more dear and commit more crimes. Bail reform is important, and a person like a sheriff and a prosecutor and a public official needs to stand up and say, we need change, we need it now. And that's what you've got in me, a public official who's going to stand up. 4 years ago when we legalized marijuana, if I was the sheriff, I would have stood up and said, you know what, hold on a minute. It's a gateway drug. We shouldn't be doing this. We were dead silent. We were dead silent because the parties in control every level. We're at an opportunity, folks, to have someone in the position of sheriff who's going to stand up and do what's right for you and your families and on public safety. I'm your guy.
Thank you.
We understand bail reform and the problems they may have happened, but let's realize New Jersey passed bipartisan legislation, so we're talking across the aisle. They worked on this with the intention of addressing inequalities in the justice system. We have seen unintended circumstances that need to be fixed. We know that. Specifically ensuring judges have the discretion and ability to hold and repeat offenders. So it's always it's on the works. And let's face it, the initial purpose of it was you have somebody with a 6-ounce bag of marijuana spending 2 weeks in a facility, costing the taxpayers nearly $1,000 during that time period for a 1 bag of marijuana. I'm not opposed to enforcement of crime. We will enforce the crime and put people in jail. But I think that's that inequity they were talking about when they had the bipartisan legislation. I put the word being bipartisan.
Okay, thank you. Next question for you. And that is, what was the thought process of removing from the jail a program to provide culinary classes for inmates?
The the thought process of having it,
Of having it and removing it?
but we haven't removed it, it's still in place.
Okay, this question says that you did, so you
Okay.
can clarify.
We just launched the program back in July. I believe we had 5 individuals signed up for it at no cost to the county. We currently have a contract with Aramark, and Aramark has provided the individuals to do the training for culinary. I still hold fast that you're about to be released from a correctional institution for a minor offense. You shall also be given an opportunity to have some type of employment. Because let's face it, you put them back on the street, we don't want a repeat offender coming back in. Let's try to make them become a vital part of our society, go out there and make an earning, keep putting back into our economy. Not putting it in the county, but breaking into houses and stealing something. So let's take these alternative methods to get this done. Again, it's not costing the taxpayers anything. Aramark is paying for it, or any additional cost for that matter. So I go back to my term of rehabilitation correctional. So I asked the question, anybody have a family member who suffered from opioid addiction? Well, part of the rehabilitation process we have is our DRC, Drug Rehabilitation Center. We want rehabilitation. We put them there from either 30 days to 90 days to get them off the drugs and give them another opportunity. Couple that with CDL license, couple that with, again, culinary, couple that with forklift operator. You're allowing people to go back into the community and be productive citizens.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper.
So, I think it was about the culinary.
Yes, oh, yeah, that was, now this only culinary, but
So, listen, nice to bring it out, have a nice article about we're teaching inmates how to cook, and it's nice. But like I said back with renaming of the jail, it's just misplaced priorities. The priority needs to be the crime victim, not the person who committed the crime. And I know we want to talk about the culinary part of it, there's no money, but the renaming, by the time you add up all the resources it takes to do what needs to be done and change the names and the money expended, can't we use that money for something else? So the priority is mixed up. A jail is a jail. When you go to jail, you go to jail. You want to lift weights, you want to have more tattoos, you want to do what you do that. I don't know if we should be teaching the cook. I don't know if we should be installing pickleball courts in that courtyard. It's a jail, people. It's a deterrence to want to go to jail. And if you want to do something bad in our county, you're going to go to a jail. And when you get out of jail, if you want to say, oh, I just got out, were you ever in jail? No, I was in the rehab center. They're going to think you were an invalid or something, and you got your ankle fixed. This is about misplaced priorities, ladies and gentlemen. As your sheriff, the priority is very clear. It's public safety, it's protecting you. That's what you need to have, that sheriff.
okay, thank you. Next question's for you. Do you have plans to modernize the sheriff's office through greater use of technology or data-driven police strategies? And if so, how?
Absolutely, I do believe the sheriff of any county needs to be the premier law enforcement agency that has the resources, and we do. We can apply to the county commissioners and the funding and the grant money and our partners, not only across the state but on a federal level, to have the proper resources to do the innovative things that sheriff's department and law enforcement is supposed to do. Prosecutor's office is one of our partners, and it's a great partner. But the sheriff's department should be the ones to seize assets from criminals and create new programs like maybe drones flying over your communities, like cameras set up on different intersections. And I know the county infrastructure, we have some, but we need to do a better job. Because as a police chief and traveling throughout the country, as an International Police Chiefs Association member, I see it. There is sophisticated information all over. The county of Bergen needs to do it. We have money. Let's take that money and spend it for your safety. That's what we should be doing. The budget is huge. There's a lot of money there. And I, as your sheriff, will make sure that we have innovative approach to solving crime, computer technology, all kinds of technology that local law enforcement can't touch because the mayors and council members and community members can't fund it. You know how you're already taxed out with your tax dollars. But the county has money to do it, and I'm gonna make sure we spend it in the right place.
Thank you. Mr. Cody.
Have a question?
Oh, the same question. Do you have plans to modernize the sheriff's office through the use of greater technology or data-driven policing strategies?
The technology, I mentioned earlier about the Sheriff's app. In Bergen County, no one has that. So again, download Bergen County Sheriff's app. Now, as far as technology, one, we have a cooperative relationship with the prosecutor's office, but we're gonna take it a little further. With no cost to the taxpayers in Bergen County, thanks to our Congressman, Josh Gottheimer, we're able to secure $1.4 million to address cameras, LPRs, shot spotters, and things of that type of technology that assist in reducing crime. LPRs, license plate readers, if you know what they are, we deploy them throughout the county, and they're very essential to solving crimes. License plate readers, something happened in Waldwick, they'll check the plates as they go on, and the plates can go from Waldwick all the way down to Param. It's part of that technology, and we can trace down the individual that's committing the crime. We're part of that. Again, almost 1.4 million grant money we received to get this. Now, I have a training budget of, we have an IT budget of almost 600,000. We use every portion of it, portion of that technology you're talking about. We put body-worn cameras on the officers in the jail. Not required by the state, but we put it on the officers in the jail for training purposes and to protect our officers. Too many times, they've been accused for wrongdoing, and they had nothing to go on but a house camera with no type of audio. Many times, my officers have been protected, put forth, and able to challenge an allegation of an inmate. So those are some of the technology things we put in place.
Okay, thank you. And the last question. Is this on? Sorry. If you have the chance, if you have the chance to undertake one new initiative to improve the sheriff's office, what would it be?
Community policing, we spoke about it earlier. I'd love to expand my community policing unit, or our community policing unit. Unless you have a fortified relationship with the community, law enforcement is just law and order, in which we already know. You're gonna get locked up if you do wrong. But community relations, that type of outreach, if you look in present day and time, is critical in all aspects of a relationship between law enforcement and community. We recall what happened in George Floyd. In Minnesota, there was no relationship between law enforcement and community. So we want to enhance that. But at the same time, we're going to have increased patrol. As I get more manpower to put on the road, there's going to be even more increased patrol. We got over 27, I forgot the number, but we have a large number of parks and that has to be covered. And if you look at it, we've covered all the parks, crime is low in the parks. So those things like that, I'm driving ahead for it. We already established a position on that. We're going to do more relationships with that. Of course, the outreach with the various communities. I mean, things like we've done the High Holy training. We do it twice a year. One with the Jewish community. We do it with the Muslim communities. That's that type of community outreach I'm talking about. The Korean community. We do a lot of cultural things in there. If anybody know about Hanbok, I was part of Hanbok over the weekend. That's that important community relationship that we have to have and still get the job done by serving and protecting the people of Bergen County.
Thank you.
So I think it was if you're elected, what's the first
The most-
initiative?
Yeah,
Most
one
important?
initiative, your most,
One.
one initiative, top initiative to improve the department.
Well, there's plenty, but we'll pick one. My number one priority is, as your next sheriff, is to come and meet the sheriff. I know the sheriff very well. I know the undersheriffs. I know the county commissioners. I want to meet with the command staff, the men and women of the sheriff's department, and basically ask, what are we doing wrong? What do you need? What are we doing right? And then we're going to create priorities, what we can accomplish short term, what we can accomplish long term. And we're going to fix what's wrong. And if it is understaffing, not enough men and women securing the jail. Not enough men and women driving around your communities, keeping you a little bit more safer, or at least feel safe that there's a patrol car coming down your county highway, roadway in the park. That's what we're gonna do. There are many priorities. The first one is to learn what's going on in the agency. Maybe the agency's fine, doesn't need any change. But I know it does need change. It's time for a change. The sheriff did a great job. It's time for change. It's time for Bob Kugler to be there now and be your sheriff. Because time is at a pivotal time in our, not only county, but in our time of country and state. So I will come in there and reforms will be implemented right away.
Thank you, and now we'll move to closing comments, and we'll start with you, Mr. Kugler, and it's 2 minutes each. 2 minutes.
So, I'm going to stand for the back to see who I am here. I said it in my opening statement, I'm a long-time public safety official. I know both sides of the aisle. I know both sides of the job. The sheriff role, without a doubt, and I'll use half, but is half political and half law enforcement. The beauty of it is that one day and I wake up and I want to be 90% law enforcement and 10% political, I can do that. Believe me, I'm going to be leaning towards the law enforcement side. I'm tired of the political side. I'm tired of somebody looking at a sheriff, the sheriff office, and saying it's a political role. The problem is it is. The only way in is through the Republican or the Democrat tunnel. I ran as an independent, as you know, in 2018. Didn't even come close. We actually got a lot of votes, 13,000. 13,000 people said, oh, I'm Bob Kugler. Harry Schwarbe's in the audience. He ran for sheriff as well in that middle. And he got, not as much, but you did good, Harry. Let me tell you, I'm a real person, and I'm coming in for real reasons. And I want to be your sheriff. I have 40 years of law enforcement experience, 30 years being a leader, and I told you I was the president of all the police chiefs, not only in the county, in the state. I've been through a lot. My legacy is going to be bringing real reform to the Bergen County Sheriff's Department. The men and women of that department are going to be the premier law enforcement agency of this county, of this state, of this region. There is no doubt about it. There is improvement that will be made. I will reach over to any aisle, whether it be the political aisle, the community aisle, the police chief aisle. I deserve your vote. You deserve to do your homework, and you choose who you want to choose. But I'm very confident after you evaluate, I'm going to be your choice for most of you. Thank you very much.
Once again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. But most importantly, and I don't take for granted your hosting, I must thank my wife and my kids for being there to support me throughout my whole term as sheriff. 6 years, it's a lot of work, a lot of time spent. So I thank everybody for allowing me to come here so I can run back home and be with my wife. This election is important for the future of our county. Either we take a step backward with Robert Kugler, who has it outlined in the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office report, which was cited for several serious deficiencies in the leadership and operation of his department. The report said he was absent and inattentive, caused serious threats to public safety. He risked the lives of his officers by sending them in with expired body armor. I asked the question, if Robert Kugler cannot properly run a small municipal police department, how can he run the largest agency in Bergen County? Or can we continue to move forward? My team and I have worked tirelessly to restore the public trust in the Bergen County Sheriff's Office. We have tackled important issues head on, including implementing new training programs, putting a focus on community policing, combating the opioid epidemic, and continuing to protect the taxpayers fiscally and protecting Bergen County. If you look at my record over the last 6 years, it shows that I'm clearly the most qualified person to continue moving the sheriff's office forward and protecting the public safety of Bergen County. Remember, words matter. Action matter, integrity matter, character matter, and the one thing I really hold on to, the uniform don't matter, is what I give back to the people in Bergen County, and I think I've shown myself. Serving as a sheriff has been one of the greatest honors of my life. I hope to earn your support once again with your vote on November 5th. I believe together we can keep our families safe, stand up for shared values, and continue to improve our standings at the 9th safest county in the United States. Bergen County is a better place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to the candidates for participating, the audience for coming and participating, our timer, recorder, and I'm sure you all know, as Mr. Bergen just mentioned, Tuesday is the day. The polls are open from, is it 6? 6. Okay, and you all know early voting is still available, and thank you.
Thank you.